Whispers float in empty halls. Footsteps echo down the walls. Shadows break where secrets lie. Every echo holds a hidden sign. Blow the trace along the crime, a hush that haunts the night, a fear that lives in light. Unravel lines of twisted lies. In the dark, the story waits unseen.
And here we go.
Hi, I'm Rochelle, the Psychic Sleuth. Spirit shows me patterns across past, present, and future. What comes through can be symbolic, metaphoric, or not always literal, though sometimes it is. Messages often carry multiple meanings that weave together through energetic tracking, prophetic sequencing, and blueprint mapping. I know I talk fast sometimes, it's just how spirit flows through me. You can always replay or slow down if you need to. I triple check what I receive with astrology and cards, but this isn't about being 100% right. It's about truth, responsibility, and integrity. I'm the one sitting with spirit on these cases, so this is a space for truth seeking, not debate. Please respect the work. If you can't honor spirit, this may not be the place for you. And before we start, I want to make something clear. My process has evolved for a reason. I don't use sitters anymore. I don't do live channeling on heavy cases, and I won't be performing on command. That's not safe, it's not accurate, and it pulls the work off track. I work the way spirit directs me through mediumship, pattern recognition, astrology validation, cards when needed, and prophetic sequencing. Every layer strengthens the message and protects the integrity of the case. Please don't tell me how to do my job. This isn't about entertainment. It's about truth, responsibility, and helping families. If my style isn't for you, that's okay. But this is how I work, and this is how the work stays accurate. If my work resonates, the best way to help is through community support for Justice's Cadaver Dog Training Fund. It doesn't take huge donations. Even the cost of a coffee adds up when many give. Shop new merch and help Justice on his mission. Links to my shop and donation page are pinned below. Every purchase helps fund the work. Thank you for being here. Now let's get on to today's case. Hey guys, welcome back to the Psychic Sleuth channel. So today I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm going to talk about my experience going to search for Isabella and some refinement that I've made from the first reading. So if you watched the first reading, it's good to watch this one. If you haven't watched the first reading, this is a refinement, and I believe the most accurate that I can get on this. So thank you for everybody that donated for me to go, because I don't like to charge families or anything like that. If I can help it, I like to do things on my own, and things have just been pretty stressful. So I appreciate you guys taking some weight off. If anybody still wants to donate, that could be helpful, because I might have to go back up there, and now I'm behind on everything and I'm exhausted. So if you feel called, that is very much appreciated. Okay. So first off, I'm going to talk about kind of how this all started and everything, and possibly her dad and mom, stepdad, may come on the channel and talk about Isabella's case, because we are really trying to get it out there. It's one of those cases that I feel like it needs more attention. It needs more light to it. And Isabella chose me to speak. During the first reading, she gave me a download. Now, for those of you who know how I work, you know that I usually need a mirror. I usually need someone to bounce off of, or cards or astrology or whatever that may be. And I like to use a bunch of different things to try to get a full picture, which has been pretty helpful with accuracy, especially in this case. So as I was trying to do the video for her last time, she just came in and just started downloading information. And I decided that that information was important enough that I was going to clip it and put it out. And hopefully the family saw it. Now, the information that I got was so specific that the family did see it and they did reach out. And they weren't even sure how they found it. But we all know how spirit works. And they, make sure that people see certain things. That's why she downloaded in the first place. When spirit wants to speak, they will speak. When they want to be loud about something, they'll be loud about something. She really wanted the attention from her family, so she made sure that she gave me things that they could validate, that they could relate to. That's why the things were personal. So she gave me, something about a ring that came in that was passed down. That was validated. She gave me a time frame of when her and this guy had met, and her hair color, that was validated. Things that I said were all validated. So the stepdad reached out, and they're very open. Thank God. They are some of the nicest people I think I've ever met in my life. And they are all about finding Isabella. She was loved very, very much. She went by Bella. She was loved greatly. She is loved greatly. And they continue to search for her and to get her voice out there. And they allowed me to tell them what I thought. They were very open to what I had to say. And they completely trusted me because of all the information that I'd given so far was accurate. They even watched the full reading and said it was on point. Now, that location and that reading is probably not accurate, but it did seem to, I think, maybe lead to a place he used to work. But since then, I've refined because I have more of an accurate area to go from and an accurate time frame. So I had a lot of untangling to do because they didn't give me a lot of specifics, which I didn't want. But in the reading, I had felt that, she was going to break up with this guy that she had been seeing, and that turns out to be accurate. That's where she was headed to go break up with him. There could possibly have been a trick involved in this, or she felt safe going in some aspect. So just to validate something about this guy, and I think that the family really wants this out there because they said make sure that people know how he is. And if you go back to the reading, I said he was obsessive, compulsive. He looked at her as a possession. He had anger, rage, and I said that he had a dual personality, and more than likely he was a Gemini. And it turns out he is a Gemini. So Geminis do cause misdirection. They do cause red herrings. They are deceptive. So it's not some random guy who just snapped. He's not messy. He's not disorganized. He's calculating. And the most dangerous thing about him is how normal he pretends to be. This man walks in two skins. One that the world sees, the charming, quiet, maybe even helpful version, and the other, cold, controlled, violent. I said early on that he has a dual nature, and everything I've seen since then proves it. He planned this, he brought supplies, he already had a disposal method in mind, and that's not someone who panicked. That's someone who is premeditated. This wasn't spontaneous, it was strategic. So this guy, he's calculated, he's obsessive, and he's a psycho. We all know those type of controlling guys. If you've ever been in that kind of relationship, you know how they can be, and they can be scary to get away from. And unfortunately, he was not going to let Bella get away from him. He had already fixated on her. Now, I feel like he held her captive or against her will for multiple hours before this, where and this comes from my own experience as well, and that's what they've used my experience to try to explain what she went through. So she was held captive, she was probably yelled at, she was probably controlled, she was, oh, you're lying, oh, tell me this, oh, tell me that. And she tried to beg and plead with him, but no matter what she said to him, he wasn't having it. He is delusional in his own thoughts, and nothing she could say was going to change his mind. He premeditated this he was never going to let her leave. He pushed his way into the vehicle and took control. And I feel like he thought, or she had said, that she was, seeing someone else or wanted to see someone else. So now I'm just going to kind of get into my experience of going out there and everything that kind of led up to it. So Isabella came in really strong, really randomly a lot of the times. I was literally in the store, and this is just trying to show how spirit can be. They can be very pushy, as Isabella is, but I was in the store, and I haven't had Skittles in a very long time. It's not really my candy, not since I was younger. I don't eat a lot of candy. And all of a sudden, I had this urge for Skittles, and it popped in my head, taste the rainbow. And I'm like, okay, but it was like in how I imagine her voice would sound. And I literally was kind of forced to get the Skittles because I wasn't left alone in it. Kind of similar to how, if anybody's been following me since Quentin's dragon kind of did the sort of same thing, where I wasn't able to leave the dragon in the store. I'm hot. So, and I'm even getting a little ungrounded as I'm talking about this, and I'm trying to like remember everything to tell you guys. So I ended up buying the Skittles. Well, I text her stepdad and I said, "Did she have a thing with Skittles? Like, because this is what I heard." And it's so funny because apparently she did, and that sounds just like her. So I'm planning to go out there. They want me to go out there. And the next morning, like I was on the map all night. I was wanting to see where I wanted to go, and I was trying to untangle some things because there was some things in the timeline that were kind of bugging me a lot. And so I wanted to kind of untangle things. So I actually didn't get much sleep before I went out there, maybe a few hours, and I slept on the couch. And in the morning, she starts talking about the Pocahontas cup that I had made a few months ago. It was a lava cup. It was one of the first lava cups I ever made, and it was around, Halloween. And I had some princess ones, and I just happened to make the Pocahontas one. Well, she was going on and on about this Pocahontas cup. And I had to get up and I had to fix it, and I had to take it to her mom, and she would know what it meant. And it was just like, da 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 da. And I'm like, already running late at this point. That was going to take me a little bit of time to fix, but it didn't matter. She had to have it, wasn't allowed to leave it. This is how pushy spirit can be. And she came in very clear about this stuff. And this is the first time, honestly, that it's happened in this way. And just like the download, I have received downloads like that before, but usually the spirit's pretty strong. So I get the Pocahontas cup, whatever. I put in the car, and then I take off on my trip. And so I get there, and I had already texted to ask, and he was trying to get a hold of mom to find out if there was an issue with the Pocahontas. And apparently, we found out later when we were driving in the car, and mom called, that was one of the last conversations that they had. That there was somebody, I think it was her sister, somebody that had a Pocahontas backpack that she really wanted, and her and her mom had that conversation. One of the last conversations that they ever had. So it was very symbolic. It was very much like I was giving her this gift of the Pocahontas cup, like she had to have it. So that was really beautiful. And Isabella, she reminds me a lot of myself when I was in my 20s, when I was, 21, 22. I was in the same type of situations, and, how we are when we're young. So she reminds me a lot of myself. And so I can understand her in that way. I think that has a lot to do with it. So we ended up going, there was a place, and I'm going to try not to put a lot of information out because it is an open investigation, and I don't know what is out there. I have seen some of this on social media already, but there, I don't want to put out the secrets that they have or whatever. So there was a specific place that her phone pinged that we feel like everything went down. Well, we kind of know it, but I'm not going to say how we know it, that everything went down. And, there was 2 pings actually. So I had already talked to the family about this. I already said, look, I want to go to this place because I feel like this is where it happened. And they kind of validated it, that that's what they thought. So that's where we went. Well, I get out and I kind of go across the street, and I'm like, all right, Bella, and you guys have to understand, I've never been in a location before. So I only feel things on a map. And it's not as simple as just going to an area or feeling an area or just walking straight to a body. It doesn't work like that. you have to kind of feel these little tugs and these little pulls and these little feelings. And I'm learning what that feels like on the ground. It's very hard on a map as it is. It's more of like I get pulled to an area, I get pulled back. I can't leave an area and like that, but I don't really know why, right? So this is why it's important to hopefully work with families or whatever, because they can fill in the blanks on why I'm getting certain things, why I'm getting this breadcrumb or whatever. Like they're able to validate and fill it in. And that's why it's important for us to work together a lot of the times if it's possible. Or at least for me to work with somebody that can help validate things and fill in the blanks. Because if anybody knows how psychic mediums work, we get bits and pieces of breadcrumbs. And that's why investigators are supposed to fill in the breadcrumbs. Like we're just an investigative tool. That's it. We don't know everything. But what's interesting about how I've noticed in this case is a lot different than, yes, I'm getting visions, but I'm also getting just downloads, like just knowing things. And so that's very different for me. But Isabella taught me a lot on how my gifts work. And I really appreciate her for that. And I really appreciate the family for being so open and allowing me to also, learn as I go and don't expect too much, because I've already said, like, I can't promise anything because I don't know how I work in that capacity. But a lot of times, again, it's just a feeling, a tug, a pull. It's not really anything that's like major. And when you're opened up too, you can feel a lot of different things. And so that's what I need people to understand about these psychic work, is just because we're psychic, for one, we don't know everything. We only know what we're allowed to know. We're only given what we're allowed to be given. And we have to put the puzzle pieces together because it comes in waves. There's things that would bug me that I had to untangle, and I'll get to that in a minute. And that's like the Scorpio midheaven in me. I gotta just investigate. And that's where I've kind of been at on this case. I haven't really gotten anything else done because there's things that I haven't been able to let go of and areas I haven't been able to let go of. But I learned a lot about how it feels to be in location and how it feels to be in certain spots. So that's where I'm going to go to now. I just had to throw that in there because I think people need to understand that you can feel all different things in all different directions, and you can feel like sometimes it's a little more subtle, sometimes it's stronger, sometimes it's just because of emotion, sometimes it's because of something else. Like, we're human and we're following like basically a feeling. That's it. And it's different for everybody. And I haven't been in the field all 13 years. I'm just now starting to be able to do that. So, I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not perfect even when I'm not in the field. Like, location is one of the hardest things for me, and I'm trying to learn how it feels to be in the right spot. That's just how it works. Just like any job, you're constantly learning, growing, and evolving. So, back to the story. I had to throw that in there because I think that people misunderstand how we work. So I was like across the street and I'm talking to her and I'm like, Bella, just take me to where you are. And all of a sudden I turned around and I walked straight for this tree. And I started feeling things. I started getting kind of a headache and not feeling great. And I was like, oh, interesting. So I would walk away and I would come back. And I would walk away and I would come back. Because I was testing to see if when I walked away, if the feelings got lighter, if the headache eased, if I would be pulled back there over and over again. Because that's kind of how I feel things, is I just get pulled back to the same place over and over. It's like a magnet sort of feeling, or a tether. And it turns out, like, so I tell her stepdad, I'm like, dude, I cannot leave this tree. I cannot leave this location. I said, I think that there's something here. I said, I don't feel good here. I got a headache here. And I keep being pulled back here. And I said, and I also keep seeing in my mind's eye the dude doing a U-turn. And also, just to note here, because it's going to make sense later, that there is a dirt road behind this place. And I took off and I was like, I need to go down this dirt road. But I said that I thought that it happened at that tree or in that area. But I needed to walk down this dirt road like it was a pool. It was a pool down there. And I probably would have walked the entire way if I wouldn't have thought I would have gotten lost or they hadn't come, they all kind of gathered to talk to somebody else out there. Well, we found out that what I was saying was accurate, that it was in that spot, and there was U-turns involved and a returning back. And so I was like, okay, so that taught me a lot about how it feels. So we left that location because I wanted to go over to, and I felt like it was important. Now that I look back, probably should have not left, but I felt like it was important to go feel where she used to work and where her phone was found or whatever. So we went over that way, and let me tell you, I got super, super, super sick. Like really, really nauseous. And I have to think and understand that it's because of the emotion of the obsession, of that's where everything went bad. That's where she met him. That's where there was anger, that was something was done there. Not on this day, but on another day. But just how obsession can feel and how those negative things, not only that, but the type of place it is, that's what I was feeling. And it was much different than the imprint of where, her life slipped away. So those two were very different feelings, but it was important for me to feel that in the case. So we went to a couple other places that I was kind of like, I don't know why we're going here. And then we decided to go and eat. So we were eating, and I was able to sit down and kind of look at some more things. And all of a sudden I had this idea, like, we need to go back. It was dark. Okay. So there wasn't much I could do, but I saw something on the map that I didn't see before. And I was like, I need to go back. We need to go back to where this happened. We need to go back over there. And we went back over there, and it was nighttime. And sometimes the veil is a little bit thinner at night. And I was able to kind of, I don't know. I just had this, like I said, I'm getting the clear cognizance in this where I just like know things, and I'm able to like put things together and untangle them. Because what was really bugging me, was really gnawing at me, is why like he picked this specific place. The specific place that it is like it's an industrial area. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like you have the whole desert. It doesn't make any sense to go there. And I had this whole download that I think that he thought, whether it was true or not, that she was seeing somebody in that work, in that place. And it was almost like he had her captive and was trying to get her to admit it. And no matter what she said, he wasn't going to listen to it. And it enraged him. Now, it was already premeditated. And I feel like that he probably followed her to that location before because he was known to kind of track her. And I feel like he followed her there before, and he watched her, whether it was just a friend or whoever she was picking up. He took it as, I'm losing my possession over this guy, or how dare you, if I can't have you, no one can. And so the reason why he picked that area was because he was trying to have a performance. He didn't care if it was on camera or whatever, because that's how cocky he is. He was trying to have a performance for whoever was in that building because of all the places he could have gone. And you have to be familiar to know it. So he could have worked around there too. I'm wondering with any of the work that he's done, if he's ever worked there, got supplies there or something of that sort, because it does seem familiar to him. But besides that, I really do think that he thought she was seeing some dude in there. And that's why he chose this place. That's why things went wild. That's why he raged out and hurt her. And so, he, and this is why I think now that I've kind of went back over everything, but this is why I went back to this location, because I needed this download. And I also think she's never left that area. So that's one thing, is that whenever I've been on the map, I continue to go there. I continue to go back to that area. And let me tell you, when I was talking to the parents, when they called me and we had this whole conversation, the REM pod was going off the entire time, and it would validate things that we were talking about. So I thought that was really interesting. But So, I ended up going home later or whatever, but we kind of had the conversation that, like, she's around there somewhere. I was thinking, like, maybe a little bit further, like, close to last known location. But the more that I think about it, the more I feel tethered back there. The more I feel like she never left there. And I don't know what I'm allowed to put out as far as that area. But we do know that he left her there and came back with supplies. And I'm only saying this part because I feel like usually when you do something, these people do something to somebody, they take the body with them. They don't leave it there and come back with supplies. That tells me, because that's been something else that's been bugging me, besides the fact that I feel like he picked that location to kind of shove it in this person's face, like, look what you made me do. That's his psychology, right? He's psycho, and he's going to blame the other person. He's not going to blame himself. He's going to blame her and the other person. And so that's what this was about, in my opinion. It was about jealousy and obsession and control, and he wanted to control the place. But you don't usually leave somebody there and then come back with supplies. It's usually you take them with you. So that tells me that he already had a concealment plan for that spot somewhere around there. And all of my cards and everything point back there. And I didn't know this area when I first did the chart, which it would have been more accurate from there, and the time and everything. So that's how I tell you guys that sometimes we start on one location and it can evolve. It's not like I like to go in 10 or 15 different locations, but this is just the way that it works, as it evolves. That's how this happens. It's not like I just know everything right away. It's like I have to untangle things and talk things out and evolve, the area, and evolve with the reading and evolve with the information. That's just how this works. But we kept getting this I kept getting this like thing, like, in the chart and in the cards about a container and toxins, and I kept getting this repeated cards of never left, which in my deck is like never left that specific location. Like, if you get it with the house, that means they never left the house. So I get a never left. I get a circle back constantly. Every single time I pull, I get circle back. I get industrial. I get circle back. I get work. I get close to last known location. There's in that area, and he was there for like another, I think, like hour and a half. And I think he was, for one, raging out on what he done, sitting around waiting for so he could fix the timeline and implant her phone. And I do think he had an accomplice, a female, in some aspect. I figured that out today. And I was telling the family about that. I don't know who she is, but there is a female accomplice. But there was specific cards. Basically, they were all pointing to, remains revealed, work remote, never left. Liminal zones, buying vehicle, storage, church. I keep getting the church, but the biggest things that always repeat is container, wrapped, never left, close last known location, circle back, work, which is a work zone. Either he worked there or it's because it's a work zone. Industrial, storage, it's all right there in that specific area. And the fact that I can't leave it and I always come back even before I went out there tells me that I'm tethered to that. And how I was going to go down the road tells me that I might have been walking to the zone if I would have just continued to go. So I feel like we're looking for some sort of container that he could have accessed. Now, they did bring dogs there and they searched that specific area, but they didn't expand on that area. If she's in a container in something and she's wrapped, the dogs aren't going to really smell it. So that's the problem. She could be there and they could have missed, but it has to be somewhere accessible. So along a fence line, along an area that's open, just, a barrel or a container that he could have gotten to. that he could have put her in. I don't really think it's so much a dumpster because the toxins keep coming up, and the chart doesn't pool. I never get landfill. I always get junkyard. So more like, metal and things around her, but I never pull the landfill card. It's not far away. So she would be there in that area. So basically he brought supplies to her, because that's what he actually left and came back with supplies, in my opinion. And I think that's why. And he was there for quite a while. And allegedly, he came back the next day, and I'm thinking it was obsessive over this dude, but also to watch over to see if anybody had found her or whatever. Because that's what a lot of these guys do, is they'll return to the scene of the crime. It's about control. It's about control with them. Control and obsession. And controlling the environment as well. So I always get the work card, and I'm just wondering if it has to do with his work or just the fact that it's a workplace. Because I also get the oil filled card, but that also goes for toxins, because there's a symbolic thing to all of my cards. And I've pulled them so many times that I don't want to go over them, but I'm just letting you know, like, everything that I've gotten has repeated this specific area, this specific where this happened to her at. And like I said, I don't know if I'm allowed to put that out there. But if the dad comes on here and wants to talk about it, then he can put it out, but I don't know if that's supposed to be out. So wherever she was, wherever this happened, and he raged out and he took her life in the vehicle, that area is where we need to check. Also because he spent an hour and a half there. But again, I feel like he had already scoped it out. Either he knows it from work, or it's familiar in some way, or it's been scoped out, but he already knew there was going to be a place where he could put her, where he didn't have to travel with the body. Because if you think about it, again, why didn't he take her with him? Because he didn't want to travel with her, because he already had a spot figured out. He already had a place figured out. So, and I also feel like, again, he was fixating on whoever, like, this performance was for. So those were the big epitomes that I had when I was out there. And again, I learned a lot about how things feel, and the pools that I receive. And I did not feel comfortable about recording it, because this is about Isabella, this is about her family, and I wasn't going to be like that. Maybe one day I'll be able to. I can't record it and work at the same time, and I'm definitely not going to ask that of family members. So that is why I said, well, he can come and talk about it if he wants to, but I'm just going to lay out the story. So then on the way home, it took me about 6 hours to get here, because I kept falling asleep, or almost falling asleep, so I had to pull over. And so when I got here, as soon as I turned on the REM pod starts going off like crazy. And I'm like, okay. So I came over, I sat down, it was almost like, let's review everything. And the REM pod's going off. Let's look at the map. The REM pod's going off. Let's look at, I had to call her dad and talk about some more things that I figured out. The REM pod's going off. So, I mean, this guy, and that's the other thing too, is he is a Gemini, and the shadow side of the Gemini. And so he's all about misdirection. And so he's put a lot of red herrings out. So as far as driving all around and putting out in Globe, she's not in Globe. Like I said, close to last known location, never left, circle back to the work, circle back to industrial zone. All of that is there. And everything in the chart screams hidden in plain sight, amongst things that you wouldn't expect or suspect. So again, he already had a place for her there, where he thought he could put her and nobody was going to find her. And so that area needs to be researched. They need to expand on it, and they need to look for anything out of place, maybe along a fence. Feels like it's along a fence. And I go back to the vision I had of in Elijah, of the 3 blue barrels. Now, I don't know if that's symbolic or if that's what we're looking for, but it's something that seemed to repeat for a while. But actually, the whole reason I got this whole lightning strike of that she's probably right there, even though the cards have been repeating and repeating, I always get the same exact cards over and over, no matter how many times I shuffle. So the thing that was getting me was I overlaid his natal, even though I don't have like a full, I don't have a full birth time or anything, and it still told me that she was like tarped, wedged, concealed above ground, maybe behind something near a building or a structure or a fence or whatever. And then it like clicked. Everything clicked at that time. And there could be culverts and things nearby too, but everything clicked at that moment. And I thought, he brought supplies to her instead of the other way around. That means he already had a concealment there. He'd already looked at it. He's either familiar, he worked there, he had access to somewhere, or he knew about a place, or whatever, in my opinion. So that's why I keep getting the circle back. They need to circle back here. It's already been searched. They need to circle back again. She's close, and she never left that location. And everything that I'm getting, industrial, container, junkyard, my junkyard card is about like chaotic zones. I also get a parking lot too, a lot, and a church. Those things always come in. There's a church there, and there's lots of parking lots. So I always get that as well. And I always kind of get the beyond reach and remains revealed. That might be like depending, when and if they find her. I do get the burn card, but I think that has to do with the vehicle. And I also get the field card. Now I know where the field cards go, because last time it didn't make sense. And this is what I mean, where a lot of times areas will evolve as you learn things or whatever. But the field, this is like in a, there's lots of fields out there. It's in a farm kind of type area. And no matter what, I always pull close to last known location, like in like the first 3 cards, and familiar area, and like I said, circle back and never left. So anyways, yeah, the REM pod went off when I came back, and it kept going until, like, as I was talking to her stepdad and everything. And also it got me, then it went off for like I think it was like the next day. It started at like 1 o'clock in the morning and went off to like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But it's almost like every time I'd sit down here, it would get spiked up and everything. I'm surprised it's not going off now, because it was going off earlier when I was like putting all this together. We literally have in this line of cards, because I wrote them all down, we have the multiple locations, and that's because there was things thrown out, whatever. But we have remains revealed, work, remote, trash dumped, never left, liminal zones, backroads, body in a vehicle, storage. So that all aligns with there. And then we have the covered up, because it makes sense, because he did have things to wrap and cover her. But also we have junkyard, storage, never left, the first 3 cards. Work, close to last known location, industrial, container, circle back. Every single one of those point to this area. Parking lot, path, trail, moved, field. So familiar. And again, there's like these toxins in the chart that I couldn't understand. But if they're already in a barrel or a container that's there. So the reason that I wanted to make this video is I wanted to, try to get Isabella's case out there. I feel like more people need to know about it. I wanted to expand on my experience and what I learned and what Isabella has taught me. I wanted to expand on the fact that she's loved very much by her family, and her family is absolutely amazing. They're some of the, best, kindest, nicest people I think I've ever met. and they are just so open to listen to anything I have to say, and they just want to find their daughter, and they want this bastard behind bars where he needs to be. And so this is, all about Isabella, and this was about, the experience that she's given me, the downloads that she's given me, the clarity that she's given me, and again, the experience of me being able to be in the field. It would be great to have my cadaver dog, honestly, at this point, and this is what I strive for. So even if I do it local, it's something that will be a tool for me myself as well. Not just being pulled to a location, but having a cadaver dog to also help us find exact. Because as a psychic medium, that's not very easy to do. And so that's been a dream of mine. And I know a lot of people probably don't think I'm trying to do it, but I'm legit trying to do it. So, and I have been for however old he is now, a couple years now. And hopefully this year we'll get movement on that, because it could really make a difference. Because, cops are looking in a completely other direction, if they're looking at all. They didn't expand on the search area. And you have a, PI that's looking out in a place that's a red herring. Because let me tell you, he did not go far. This chart hates long distances. Not to mention my pool, me not wanting to leave that area on the map, all the cards saying close to last known location. And the thing is the cards keep nagging at me. They keep throwing it in my face like close to last known location, never left. Remember that. And it makes sense. It logically makes sense, especially if he really knew this area, and it's said to have to be familiar to him in some way. So either he followed her there, he worked there. There could be a couple aspects, again, that he, one could be he followed her there and he thought she was seeing somebody in his mind or not, and the other one could be like he did work around there in some way. It could be both things, because I keep getting the work. I just cannot find where he worked. This is where, like, it'd be nice if we could find somebody that could track that, investigators or whatever. Unfortunately, they're not really working with the family in the way that I feel like they should be. And for whatever reason, I'm sure they have their reasons, but, you can't have tunnel vision in this case in search areas. Like, you can't just be focused on globe and just be stuck there. Like, in between searches, there's other places that could be searched. I'm telling you, she never left this area, and this is where she's at. And it's the industrial area in El Mirage over there. I think I'm allowed to put it. I don't know. I'm gonna say it so that, well, I don't know. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. We'll just say that if her family wants to come on and say where it's at, they can do that, because I don't want to jeopardize anything. But she never left that area. And I feel that she pushed through me so that her parents would see that she's okay, and also bring me into it at least to know she's okay, but also no one else is looking there. I got brought into this case for a reason. Like, I don't pick my cases, they pick me. There's very much a karmic thread here. That's the other thing. I have never seen a chart play out in my life with the symbolism like I have with this. She went missing on, this was another thing. She went missing on 111, off of 111th Street. She was driving a 2011 car, which that's just a weird coincidence, whatever. Anyways, I noticed it because that's something I would notice. Well, it turns out the reason I was so fixated on that, she also had a 111 tattoo on her finger. And it was around, I think it's like the same hand that like she wore the ring on or whatever. I can't even remember everything I got in that download, but I'm sure that the family will come on. But they said they knew as soon as I was talking to the family and saying what I was saying to the family, they knew it was her. So whatever I said, they knew it. There's been repeating numbers, like her work is like 3737. Like, there's repeating numbers everywhere. When we decided to go back to to the place where this happened, we exited 11, and then it was like there was Sun City and El Mirage, and I couldn't get the thought out of my head, like, she was a Leo and he's a Gemini, so she's shining the sun on his deception of the El Mirage. It was just, and we were in the middle. That's how it felt. That's the symbolism for me. And I was just like, she is shining the light on this and making me go back to where it all began. Whether I just saw whatever I needed to see to get me back there or fill the pool back there, I had to go back. And now I understand why. I got the download about the jealousy and whatever. And the more that I've thought about it, the more I've untangled it, the more clarity there's been. Thank you very much, Neptune and Aries. I have been able to kind of untangle a lot of this about, what has happened and everything. And in that reading, I guess I pinned his psychology. I had the area right too, but just not on the map. So it was described as the right place, but if I would have, Cheyenne, it's okay. If I would have known about this specific area where all of this happened at the time, then, I would have been focused there, because once I found that, I couldn't leave it. And that's what tells me a lot. Starting to walk down that dirt road, that tells me a lot. So this is sort of how it's evolved. Isabella's been very loud. She wants her family to find her, because it's a big part of putting this guy away that should never have been on the streets in the first place. And unfortunately, he's trying to bail out now, and he shouldn't. Makes no sense, because he literally should not. There's enough evidence to be able to hold him. So hopefully that doesn't happen. And that's another reason, I don't want to put but she's basically, and I'll just let the family say it if they want to say it. But I think I'm right on this. And I add the clarity, the container in that area, and I called her dad directly tonight, and he's always open to let me talk to him about anything. And that's what I love, is anything I say, he agrees with it, or he listens to it, or he tries to understand it. And it's a lot for him. And I don't like telling him this stuff. And I don't like telling the family this stuff. This is hard, but it's the only way that we're going to find her. It's just the only way. So, and they already know that she's no longer here from what we know. So I think they're trying to come to terms with that. And I feel like they're not going to rest until they get answers. And I'm trying to be that bridge to her, to give her that. And I'm just so thankful that they're so open, and that they believe in, because that's going to help them get through this, that they believe that there's something beyond this, that they're believers of spirit. And that's the stepdad, and that's the dad, and that's the mom, and they're all coming together, and the grandma, and they're all coming together, and they're trying to find their baby girl. And I mean, she's very, very loved. And I feel like she's a sister in spirit. She's very she just has that vibrant Leo personality, very sweet, very bold, very childlike, I guess, is the way that they explained her. I mean, the way that they validated, because I explained kind of I thought she was a kind of childlike. And I am doing all that I can, and this is where my focus has been. And so now I'm a little stressed out bill-wise, but so I have to kind of let this go after this, except for unless anything else, comes up, or, the dad comes on. But I mean, I have to kind of let it go for a little bit so I can get caught up. But again, I appreciate everybody helping me with that before. You guys took a lot of pressure off. And this is very draining, and I still have not been able to catch my breath or get enough rest to bounce back from this. For some reason, this was a lot energetically, I guess, because I was feeling things left and right. Just being in that bad part of Phoenix, I was having a hard time. So, I mean, it takes a lot. It does a lot on your nervous system, where people don't even realize, feeling things and being that open sometimes is that it wrecks your nervous system a little bit. And so I've been trying to bounce back from that. And, now I still have everything I have to do, because I don't charge the families. I try not to. If they want to donate, that's different. If they want to help me get somewhere, that's different. But I don't try to do that, even though it would help me out a lot, because I don't feel like it's right, because I can't promise anything. But in this instance, I think I have total clarity on what happened and where she is. And again, she has taught me so much on how she comes in randomly, on how, she's brought me into this story to be able to help her family, to be able to feel things in the field, to be able to have that experience and that growth. And so it's almost like she's a teacher from beyond. And I will forever be thankful for that. And I'm forever thankful for, her parents, and the way that they've accepted me, and the way that I can just talk to them about. They are just amazing people, you guys. I could just cry because I feel so awful that they're going through this. I can't imagine, because she was such a bright light. But I always make my work about the victim. This is about the victim. This is about their story. That's why I put out these things. And the first thing that the dad told me was, or the stepdad told me, he was like, "It's so cool that you made a video." And that was good to hear, because sometimes I feel like when I put out videos, I might piss some people off. But they were happy that I did, because it all aligned with everything. Like, it sounded like her. They could validate it. I had a psychology pinned. Like, there was so much that I guess I knew that I shouldn't have known. So they were very much down to listen. They were very open. They're great people. And like, I don't know, it feels like a second family already to me. And I'm just thankful that, they are willing to work with me in this way, and understand that, like, I can't make promises, but I'm pretty sure we got to figure it out. Now it's just finding exactly what container and exactly where in that area. But she's close, because he already had it figured out. This was premeditated. He'd already scoped it. He already knows it. Something. I just can't figure out how, other than he might have followed her there or checked it out. Or maybe he got supplies there. I don't know. But that work card keeps bugging me. And it could just be because it's a working area. But there's a lot of work stuff, like, in the chart and in the cards. And yeah, I just wonder if he ever worked there, or has ties there, or knows somebody that works there, or something. There's something of that nature. So yeah, I really feel strongly. It's like everything clicked into place. Like, I got hit with a lightning strike today after we aligned his natal, and it came up with that, with the container, because I couldn't figure it out. I was like, okay, container in a junkyard, like, that's been going on for forever. But I was like, where? And yet the cards have been saying the whole time she never left. She's close to that location. The chart doesn't like long distances. Circle back there already. Like, keep circling back. Industrial, like, junk, like, that's all there. So and like I tell you guys, I have to refine things. That's just how it works. Like, we don't know everything from the beginning. I'm always coming back and refining things. And I'm not trying to switch all these locations around and stuff. It's where we end up. We might have to go through different locations or different things, or refine things, or evolve, but it's where we end up in the long run. It's like putting puzzle pieces together, untangling like a freaking mess, So, and I did send another tip to law enforcement and explained all this, but I don't know if they're going to listen. Hopefully, they expand on that search with the dogs. I mean, I don't know what else to say at this point. She's been very loud on the REM pod at certain times. I'm surprised it's not going off now, because, like, literally when I got home that morning, it just started going off as soon as I turned it on. And it didn't stop till after I talked to her dad. Talking to her dad, it was spiking, and then after, it stopped. And it feels like every time I get on the map and I'm being in a close area, it would spike, but I still didn't have it just right. Like, I was still circling this area, but I was trying to go outside of it, because I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But then today it all clicked that yes, it does make sense. It does, because he brought the supplies there. He didn't want to go anywhere with her. He already had it figured out. He already had a container. He already had an area, and he was there long enough to do it, or even quickly on his way out. So even if he had, I still think he had help with the phone though, because I couldn't make the timeline fit. It was like, it takes like 20 minutes to go over there to where her phone was found. And I was like, I don't know how he did both. But again, if she was at that location, then that's how he did both. But I still think for some reason, if he had an accomplice in some way, shape, or form, that helps him in some way, that's a female. I just don't know who she is. She could have even worked at the same place. I don't know. But that's my story, and I'm sorry again that I don't have videos on it, but it I'm not going to be disrespectful to family like that. This isn't about social media or anything like that. This is her story, which maybe we'll get it out there, like I said, with her parents. And if I go back up there for another search, maybe I'll record it. I actually have a camera. I just need a card for it. So that might be something that we do in the future. But for now, I just wanted to tell the story of how everything went down and what I learned and how it felt to feel things, and how accurate it ended up being, which is really surprising for me. And how just hopefully that we can find her, and or that we can find her in time, and that the family can get some closure and this bastard can go away forever. I think he will. I'm getting handcuffs. I think eventually, I think even if they just have circumstantial, I think it'll be enough from what we know so far, but they just have to put it together. So that's where he should have never been out in the first place. Like, and just a warning, like, just because a guy has a bunch of money and they throw it at you, you got to be careful and watch for red flags. And yes, they show you one side and love bomb you. Well, they're another person. So just be careful out there, girls. And that's the thing. Oh, it went off. And that was the thing too that also I think was validated, was that she was done, because I kept saying he's coming up in the cards as an ex. Well, she was going to break up with him. So that's unfortunately where it went wrong. And for any of us that have ever been in that type of relationship, how it is to be held against your will and questioned and treated that way, and it violently, so, and there was a lot of stuff that happened in those few hours, but I don't need to go into all that. I don't think the family needs to know all those details, but just that Isabella's strong. She's always been strong. She's a little pushy. She'll always show her way. And that was another thing too. When we were standing there talking, a butterfly came and landed on her bio dad, and I thought that was really sweet. But they're all very, very kind people, and Isabella's lucky to have them, and they were lucky to have her. And I just think it's amazing how she has pushed through and connected us, and this is where we are now, and we know things more now than we did a few days ago, and we just keep getting things untangled and just keep figuring more stuff out. And like, this all hit me today. So I if they do another search, I'm gonna go back, but I think he's wanting to do that. So we could use searchers if anybody's in Arizona. If anybody knows of anybody that has dogs, wish I had my own, but anybody, I don't know if they'd be able to smell in this type of area, but we need that too. So this is a call to action for a girl and her family that's not getting enough. They're not getting enough publicity. They're not getting enough, help, and they need more help. And they need a new, I guess, maybe a new PI, or another PI. So I don't know. I know I'm a small channel. I don't have far reach, but these are things that we're looking for, and it's for the greater good. So if anybody knows anything about that. But yeah, I just wanted to put this out because I wanted to show how things evolved. She literally made me get out of bed today, and my REM pod started going off at like noon, and yeah, I should have already been up, but I was just like, I'm having a hard time. I'm like super tired. So I'm having a hard time bouncing back a little bit, but I have to focus on other things tomorrow that I needed to focus on tonight. But forced to do this, okayed it with the family. They're going to check it out first, and then we'll see. But yep, so hopefully you'll see this soon, and hopefully you'll see, hopefully they'll be able to come on and you'll see them soon. But I think we had an epitome today, and I mean, it's been there the whole time. It's been there the whole time. I just needed to put all the pieces together. Sometimes it takes me a minute to do that, but you know, and that's what's been happening is there's like all of a sudden I'll have this clarity, and it's like my claircognizance just lights up, and I normally don't. It's not normally how I work, so that's kind of new for me. It's usually like visions and hearing, which I'm having both, but not in regards so much to the case. It's like I'm just knowing things, or I'm just able to like untangle things. I don't know. It's hard to explain. So it's interesting to see how things are evolving right now. But I appreciate you. Please hit the like button. Please send your love to the family. Please put out positive vibes that we're able to get some help to, you know, we're able to find the right place and find her. And again, I'm going to try to go back out there if they get another search, and I need to, because I wish I would have like just stayed in that area and followed that road down. But I was by myself at that point, and I wasn't trying to get lost myself. So, but you know, I needed to experience certain things, but now we know, and I learn every single time. So this is a learning experience for me too. So, all right. Thanks for hanging out. Please hit the like button.